Yes, welcome back, Loony Listeners. This is Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. You are listening to episode 92. And this episode, we are back with another varied show for you. It's courtesy of of a new moon. A new moon. And with that, we have a spotlight and a very special guest. Now, with me, as always, is a Khonshu High Priest. How are you?
I am doing well for our lovely late night recording session. Good time.
Yeah.
We're buzzing. We're ready to go. We've got a fantastic guest.
Yeah, you know, trying something a little different. We have the moon high in the sky as we record this. Hopefully it will kind of strengthen and rejuvenate us during this episode. But as you say, Connor, we do have a very special guest, and we are very pleased to have with us Mr. Knol Tate. How are you, Knol?
I'm well. Hello, Ray. Hello, Connor.
How are you going?
Hey, hello.
Now, Loonies will know that Knol is a Looney himself, but also he has, and his fantastic band Delita have been ever so generous as to provide their music for the podcast. So all those beautiful tunes that you hear throughout the show are courtesy of Delita and one creative mind that is Knol. So Knol, so good to have you on this show. This being a spotlight, we just want to, just get to know you more, delve into your music, delve into Delita, and how things kind of overlap with the music and comic books in general. So, yeah, to kick off, I guess, can you maybe, summarize Delita? What kind of music do you guys generally play, and where do you kind of, play? Do you play it anywhere regularly?
It's kind of, people call it post-punk,
Mm-hmm.
which is, to my mind, that means anything after punk. But
Yes,
certain, like sort of the music critic version of it is a more interesting version of sort of the 70s punk rock, something that's not just balls out anger all the time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a more moody sort of kind of aggressive indie rock. I don't know.
Okay.
It's hard to describe one's own music, you know. I basically just talk, and then the band plays really loud.
Yeah. No, it's
and then we don't play anywhere regularly. This band doesn't tour as much as past bands I've been doing, so we mostly play in the States, kind of in the Midwest area, and we don't even play that often because we're all old men now. But actually, only one of us has a child, so we're not that old. But
yeah, it's weird. I only say that because I'm on the other side of the pond, all the way. Khonshu and I are.
It's more than a pond, right?
Okay. of the big blue, and
there you go.
And I've seen flyers and posters, and I love actually kind of sharing them around. So I've seen you having gigs, and I remember even one time I think you were hanging around somewhere waiting to play a gig, and we were having a good old chat about The Thing. I think it was a Marvel 2-in-1 comic that you were reading at the time.
No, it was the John Byrne thing.
Oh,
the John Byrne series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the classic one.
Right, awesome. Mm-hmm. So my impression was just, I saw these funky flyers that you had, and and I thought you'd been gigging around. So with your music though, post-punk, you're saying as well. I know again it's probably hard to pinpoint or to, I guess, extract some influences that you have, but who would you say would be a big influence on you music-wise?
That's also difficult because there's a lot in this band in particular. An old English group called Wire is a big one for us.
Okay.
I would say Australian Nick Cave.
Yeah, awesome.
And the Bad Seeds is a big one for us. We're also into a lot of like the sort of 60s surf rock and psychedelia kind of stuff.
Okay.
Like the Ventures, of course, but then like Davey Allen and the Arrows, which is he was known as the king of the fuzz guitar. So he kind of played the Ventures surf guitar, but all weird fuzzed out fuzz pedal guitars.
Yeah.
Things like the Psychedelic Furs, a lot of the early 80s like kind of new wave and what they called post-punk then bands are a big influence as far as music goes.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And then I don't know, things like a lot of soundtracks from the 60s actually are a big influence on us.
So you said this band in particular, referring to the leader, has music always been in your blood then? I guess did you start out in high school as a cute little garage
I've been playing in
band
bands since I was about 10 years old.
Never
12
mind,
years old.
even further back.
Yeah. I started playing out when I was around 14, I think. My brother and I started a band when he was, I guess he would have been 10 and I was about 14.
Okay. Were you on the guitar or something else before then? Or
Just the guitar. I'm not very good at music, so guitars, everyone can play it.
I love how these musos, play it down. Not very good. Oh, come on. Really good stuff.
It's not classical piano, right?
Oh. But so you and your brother, who were the other, not to say, is your brother in Deleta as well, or who were the other members as well?
No, he lives on the other side of the country in Seattle. He was up until pretty recently in a band called Minus the Bear.
Okay, cool.
That were kind of a big indie rock band through the early and mid and late aughts. Mm-hmm. And he moved out there when he was around 18, and we were in a band at that. We had been in bands all throughout like high school and early 20s, and then the band him and I were in decided they wanted to get out of the Midwest, and so they moved to the West Coast, and I stayed here. And but I've just kept on playing music, ever since.
And
the other guys in Deleter are they're a little younger than I am, but they're all local musicians as well that I've worked with in the past. Mm-hmm. In my day job, which is making records for other bands.
Oh, cool! Like a producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Engineer, producer.
Cool. Nice. So you very much are surrounded like with music. Like it's kind of something that you not only do yourself as well, but like you help out a lot of others. Did you find this creative drive to create music with your brother as well? How can I explain it? Were you both urging each other on? Is that what kind of forged this enjoyment to music? Or is it something more like, because I know that you do some drawing as well, Knol.
Yeah, I do. All I do is like art kind of things.
Yeah.
I can't do anything else.
So I'm just wondering, like, is it this kind of creative urge that is kind of within you that has sustained your love for music?
Yeah, I mean, sustained my love for
for
all creative forms. Yeah, I do. I try to create something every single day, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
So music or drawing, or I obviously, since I write lyrics, I also write poetry, paint. I've tried my hand at doing some plays, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, awesome. And how...
Yeah, I can't do anything else. I'm not good at math. I don't think I would be a really good office biddy. So, no.
Well, you say you can't do anything else, but it sounds like you can do a whole heap of stuff there. It's that's really cool. Plays, right? Jeez.
Yeah, I was really into Beckett for a while.
Right.
I have Waiting for Godot sitting on right next to my bed every night, and I pick it up and read a little. And I'm like, I want to write something like this, which is stupid because I can't write anything like that.
Oh, nice. And like poetry, of course, there's a close connection there, I guess, with lyrics.
Yeah.
Do you find, is there a big difference, like when you do write lyrics as opposed to poetry?
they sort of they can blend. Mm-hmm. I guess when I write lyrics, I know for the most part that I'm writing something to be set to music.
Yeah.
So there has to be at least a little bit of sort of meter and rhyme. And poetry, I don't. There's no rules. I just write whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. There used to be, well, I'm sure they have them here. I don't know if you've been to any yourself, Connor, but there are a lot of like pubs around the area. And when I was a little younger as well, used to go to a lot of poetry readings.
Yeah, that was a thing back a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of our poetry
you don't really see that much
now,
anymore.
No.
Yeah, poetry readings hang out at like uni now.
Yes.
Yeah, when I was younger, there was multiple evenings a week where there was a poetry reading somewhere, like an open mic.
Mm.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
And now there isn't anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like slam poetry's kind of taken that, and those usually deal with almost big festival type events.
Oh, what was that? Mm-hmm. What's that slam poetry, Connor? Is that like a rap off or something?
It's like rap.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a rap off.
Okay, but I mean, it deals a lot with improvisational, like, is that right, Connor? Like, just you do it on the run.
No, most of these people are, written big political or personal statements they perform to a crowd.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the slam part of slam poetry means, but it's usually like a competition, I guess, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they were always fun, like those, because it was at a pub, like, this was around, uni days for me. You go to a pub with your mates, you have a couple of drinks, play a bit of pool. Then we used to always go upstairs where they had them, and it was just good, like, because anyone and everyone can kind of go do it. It's kind of quite daunting as well. You'd have to have a level of public performance, I guess. A lot of people don't.
Or just need to get something off your chest.
Yeah, true.
That's a big one.
Yeah,
I read one once about how, I think it was the first time I got dumped when I was a teenager.
Ah.
And how I was under the assumption that the National Rifle Association here in the States, if you joined, they would give you a gun, and that way you could intimidate anybody into doing whatever you want as long as you were a member of the NRA.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And people thought I was crazy for writing this game. I was like, it's a joke.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, people can take things quite literally.
Yeah.
But, yeah, right. So going from, I guess, from the writing, and so with plays, so what had you written from there? Was that more of a cathartic thing as well to get off, or was that more of a using your imagination and fantasy?
Yeah, it's just getting everything out of your brain to someplace else.
Yeah,
whether it's to be published or shared or whatever or not, it doesn't matter. You just have to get it out, and it's psychologically healthy, I think, at least for me. And it helps me sort of delve a bit into my subconscious a bit and see, that's why I was feeling that way.
Yeah,
even if no one else understands it.
Yeah. Do you keep a notebook like by your bedside as well and stuff? Do you write? Like, do you?
Yeah.
I guess.
Or take notes on my phone or do whatever. Yeah, I've always got something by me to jot down an idea. Yeah.
That would be an interesting thing again, like I guess with technology and how that kind of works, because very old school. Again, like back in my younger days as well, I'd carry a little A5 size notebook as well and just jot things down. But now, like obviously with the phone, I don't know, there's something a bit more rustic. And I think with having a little book and having like a half gnawed pencil, just at your ready to scribble something down. But no, that's cool. With music, like how does it, like with Delita, how does that evolve? Like how do you come up with this is probably a hard question as well, Knol, like what comes first, the lyrics or the music? But how do you form your songs? Are some of them a mix of very organic, like they develop as they come along, or are some of them like premeditated? It's like, I'm going to set myself a narrative, and this is what I'm going to write a song about. And how does that work?
Well, lately it's been with this band, we've always just kind of written things in rehearsal, kind of jam them out, I guess. The other three guys are a lot better at music than I am, so they're able to write things really quickly. And then my sort of my role in the job is to kind of produce the band, sort of arrange some things that they've come up with, or mostly take away things that they're just so good that I need them to not play as good as their full abilities would let them, and come down to my level a little bit. But then, we just write a lot really quickly, and so songs build up really fast. And then I used to just take things that I'd written, poems or whatever, and kind of re-edit them to fit the song. But the past couple of things we've done, I wanted to have. We still wrote the song, the music first, but then I wanted to come up with sort of a connective tissue lyrically to the whole release. Like our last full album was influenced a lot by Watchmen from Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, and I didn't write exactly like this song is Rorschach's Revenge or something like that, but kind of using it sort of as an intellectual guide to subject matter for a song.
Yeah, right. That was so that was your latest album.
Yeah, it's called Levitate the Pentagon.
Because that had because I got most of the Watchmen references there, but there were a couple of other like names in the title which I thought were kind of referencing.
There was some Marvel stuff there.
Yeah, like Cancerverse and The Watcher's Eye. So but it was predominantly like a Watchmen.
Side A of that record is kind of Watchmen, and side B is sort of Marvel Cosmic, I guess.
Yeah, why not?
Even though it's not, like I said, it's more of just like using something to influence, a feeling I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like using subjects in Watchmen to talk about bigger problems or things having to deal more with what I'm actually thinking.
Yeah. So
it's actually a pretty political record for the most part. I mean, Watchmen's a really good read again right now in this particular world political climate. Yeah. It kind of feels like we're sitting on the doomsday clock.
Yeah.
Whether we are or not. It's just sort of the paranoia of that book.
Yeah.
And same with V for Vendetta is another one too, another Alan Moore one that kind of taps into that same. And they're both kind of books of the post-punk era themselves. I mean, it's pretty obviously that Alan Moore was influenced by punk rock, even with his long hair and beard. I think he's even said that punk was kind of his thing.
Okay,
so it sort of made sense to dive back into some of the writing, some of the things having to do with that era, that weren't directly related to it.
Yeah, it's good. It kind of builds a framework, and I guess the message itself becomes, the main focus. And I mean, you only use kind of. I was listening to a podcast on Jessica Jones just recently as well, and they're talking about how it's a Marvel superhero show, but it's really kind of not. That is kind of taking a back seat to the issues that have on rape and sexual assault and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And all the best comics bring that up anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jessica Jones, the comic Alias, really did that. And I think they just kind of leaned into it. It's easier to do live action.
Yes. Yeah.
probably. But I mean, that comic was all about how messed up Jessica was.
Yeah, and look, there are different types of comic books out there, and different feelings
Absolutely.
that you'd have. Like, I know for myself, one day I might just want to read basically just like popcorn comics. Just want to not have to think too much about it. Just have a lot of dumb action and just enjoy the ride. Others, yeah, like the Alias, or there are a lot of I guess there are some, like you could say, some of the Valiant comics as well, a lot more story driven.
To read any of the Valiant stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
You've got to get into. So, did you say you have to read more Valiant?
I've got
stuff?
a lot of books to read. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't even caught up on all the books on my shelves right now. I'll get into Valiant someday.
Yeah. Well, when you do, let me know, and I'd love to know what you think, because I know Connor and I, we're big fans of it, and they're very much story driven. Really good stuff. But yeah, well, I mean, actually, before we go into a little bit of the comics, Knol as well, you mentioned Watchmen and V for Vendetta. The two films, what did you think of how that was portrayed as an adaptation of the comic books? Were they accurate?
Did not.
Or? No.
Well, accurate is in the eye of the beholder. No, well, they're not. V for Vendetta was not accurate at all. But actually, I thought it was they almost did with that movie what I do when I'm writing lyrics, influenced by something. It was like a new story influenced by V for Vendetta. And I thought that was kind of okay. It was set in the modern age. It was a way of taking the same thing, taking an old story and sort of retelling it for what's going on then. Like, that was really about that movie. I think had a lot more to do with it. Not as much the surveillance state and fascism like Alan Moore wrote about, but it had more to do with sort of the Iraq War too, and sort of the American version of fascism, I guess. I don't know. It was a much more American movie than the book is a very English book.
Yes, of course.
And Watchmen, I don't like at all. I can't stand it. And it's, I think, people talk about how Zack Snyder he's like, it was basically a panel for panel remake. And I was like, well, sort of visually, but it also, like, anytime there's like a punch thrown in the book, it's just like, there's a punch thrown, moving on. And he would have to slow-mo it down and put the actors on strings, and it made it sort of ultra violent.
Yeah, right.
And really pushed the violence of it. And it's like he read the book and didn't understand a fucking thing about it. He didn't understand the message that, like, it's from what I understand, Zack Snyder is sort of a libertarian, Ayn Randian, objectivist kind of person.
Ayn Rand.
Oh, he does.
Yeah,
Okay.
He does. He fucking loves that stuff. And Alan, the whole book is not the whole book, but there's Rorschach is making fun of that. There's no Alan Moore just says it.
Yeah.
It was sort of making fun of Steve Ditko, who is an Ayn Randian objectivist too. You know?
Right.
And he has love for the art of those people, but fundamentally disagrees with the philosophy.
Yeah.
And I think Zack Snyder just didn't get it. He was like, cool.
Yeah. Let's kind of like Hollywood it up. And he probably picked not the strongest threads that make Watchmen good, I guess.
Yeah.
There are
exactly.
a lot of Watchmen fans that do like the movie.
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
kind of surprised about that Watchmen fans. Maybe they don't get the fucking book either.
Yeah. Connor, I know
I'm just kidding.
Connor, I know you've read it as well, and V for Vendetta.
Oh yeah, I love me some Alan Moore. I gotta agree with you there, Knol. I think, I know some people enjoy the Zack Snyder version, even as just kind of more popcorn entertainment. But
yeah, and that's totally
just
fine. I was kidding about entertainment is entertainment, and if that's what you want to take, I just think the book has a lot more to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I totally approach that book as something with something powerful to say, and without something to say, I think I'd just rather either read a popcorn comic or something with a stronger message. It's almost like this mess in the middle that doesn't quite understand what it wants to be. I think I'll just read the book any day.
Yeah, it's hard to. I guess it is hard to translate. There are a lot of. Look, I'm just being like devil's advocate here. It's hard. I guess there's a lot of things you got to balance. With movies being a particular, I guess, time frame that you kind of squeeze all in. I guess the pressures of it having to make money, in order to actually being successful, and the pressures from the studio and all kind of that.
It's just a movie that shouldn't have. I mean, Terry Gilliam tried to make it.
Yeah,
and he said for all those reasons, the movie is unfilmable. You can't make it. You can't portray the deeper meaning. You can show a guy in a weird mask. You can show two fat superheroes fucking, but you can't portray the political message all in one, and all those other things in one 2-hour movie or 3-hour, whatever his final cut was. Yeah, and I think it's a success enough that he was able to make it at all, and that people don't universally hate it.
Yeah, it seemed to rock the the comic book movie boat a bit, didn't it? I mean, it was kind of a success, wasn't it? It was like a commercial success.
I didn't watch it until years after it came out,
right?
So I don't know. I just was like, nope, not paying attention.
Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, I just remember when it got released, it was like, this is a comic book movie, but it's like none that you've ever seen before. And it's so funny because, like, what you're saying now, Knol, as well, it does show the shortcomings of it and how it is very much a, quote unquote, a comic book film. Because
were those critiques because it was nothing like you've seen because they showed somebody putting in hatchet in someone's face or something? Like, you've never seen that in a superhero movie, but that's what he decided to focus in on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
anything else?
Exactly. So maybe it generated all the wrong attention.
Daredevil.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And well, I mean, a little segue there. No, what are your bear in mind, we are heading back towards music as well. But what's your take on I guess the health of comic book movies / TV shows? Do you watch many of them? Do you like them?
Yeah, I watch most of them. I'm behind on a few. I still haven't seen Punisher season 2 yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When it came out, I was kind of in a. What was that? Last fall? Winter? When did that come out? I don't know. I was really sad and depressed at the time, and I was like, the last thing I need is to watch this guy kill a bunch of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though I really enjoyed the first season a lot.
Yeah. Well, it is depressing. It can be depressing.
All those Marvel shows all the Netflix former ones are depressing. Iron Fist only because it was not good. It was depressing, but even though I actually like it more than most people do, I find it.
I like fun. It. Yeah, I know, Connor, you like it.
I
as
thought
well.
that second season was great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I think Raven Metzner did a bloody good job. With it, and he set it up, and everyone was salivating for what was coming next, and then the whole thing just came crashing down around us. So you like the Netflix shows. How about the other, what do you call them? Studios, channels. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., how about Legion, Runaways, Cloak and Dagger? Do you dip into any of that?
Yeah.
Or even the DC stuff? Sorry.
I've watched all of the Marvel ones. I'm not caught up on all of them. Mm-hmm. I didn't see last season of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I've enjoyed S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay. It's a different flavor.
It is. It's fun. It's kind of more popcorny, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, very much.
Legion, the first season, I still haven't watched the second one. But that first season might have been my favorite, maybe my favorite season of television,
really,
hands down.
Yeah.
It's just so. Yeah. It's just up my alley. It's weird, and it
was very good, I must say.
Yeah, random dance numbers, and there was enough sort of X-Men Easter eggs, but they didn't go fully into it. There wasn't much superheroism.
No, there wasn't. It was just weird.
I really like. There's that one scene. This won't be a huge spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it, but there's just a scene where they kind of first show David's powers without showing them.
Okay.
Remember that? And they just walk into it's like a base or something, and there's just men for some reason buried halfway in the ground.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And you're like, holy crap, that guy is powerful.
Yeah.
And it's just a really good. And the color palette is just amazing. Like, I hope. What's the showrunner's name? The guy who did Fargo.
Noah Hawley?
Yes, well done, Connor.
Is it David Hawley?
No.
Noah Hawley, that's right.
Yeah.
There was talk about him doing a Doctor Doom movie, and if he did...
That's right.
anything. I hope they hire him for something within the Marvel Studios.
Yeah, he's very good.
Because he's a genius.
Yeah, he can graduate to movies, I think, from what you see on Legion.
A Doctor Doom movie, that would just blow my mind. Hopefully blow my mind.
Are you reading the latest Fantastic Four, or...?
I'm gonna wait till a couple trades worth. I'm a bad comic fan. I'm a trade waiter.
Oh no, that's all right. I was just about to say because Dan Slott.
I can't read digitally either. So.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah,
I can't read on a pad. It drives me crazy. I need to have something in my hands.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. A good supporter of your local comic book store. I was just about to say, Dan Slott. He writes Doctor Doom very, very well. From what I've read the last few issues of the latest FF. Yeah, so he's back, baby.
I was excited to him.
Yeah.
I've really liked Dan Slott a lot. I loved most of his Spider-Man run. A lot of people kind of shit on him.
Oh, I love it.
But I just got all of his She-Hulk books.
Oh, yes.
That he wrote, whatever that was, 10 years ago.
Yes.
They're so good.
Yeah.
I mean, the Byrne She-Hulk is still my favorite. I mean, it's one of my favorite comics ever, but he did a really good job with that character.
He did. I read some of it on Marvel Unlimited when I had it. I hadn't read the whole run, but I was very impressed with it had kind of like quirky artwork from memory. But it was really good. Have you read the Charles Soule run as well? Or
I have it. I haven't read it yet.
Okay. You do have a lot of catching up to do, Knol.
I do. There's only so much time in the day.
Yeah, that's it. Going towards comics, and look, I'm just mindful, Knol, as well. I know we talked about an Isla Ra session, which I'd absolutely love for you to join Connor and myself.
Someday we'll do that. I'll have to put a little bit more thought into it. This morning I pulled out, I was like, what are some books I like? And then I ended up with a stack of like 15, and I was like, oh no.
It is a tough challenge. But yeah, we'll grab you in the Mooncopter. We'll take you over to Grant Mansion and other locations. But it'll be great. So we won't dive into that. I mean, as you said as well, a bit more time to think about it. But comics wise, I guess with as you mentioned, Watchmen and a bit of the cosmic made its way into Deleta as well. Now, are there any? I guess what I'm saying, are any comics that you are reading that do directly kind of influence your creative output? In music?
Generally speaking?
Yeah.
Or just in music?
Oh, in music, yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's it.
I mean, I'm thinking like, so you mentioned the eras where your music takes its influences from, the decades. I'm wondering then, because comics are kind of, like any art form, they have, you can see distinct styles during particular decades. For instance, do you like a lot of the older comic book runs? And that
that would be. I mean, that's my era.
Yeah,
the late 70s through the 80s is my kind of comic book era. Like anytime I even just pick up anything from that era, especially if it's sort of a Marvel house style, I love it. I freak out.
Yeah, it's very different.
This is so great.
Yeah, it's very different.
I just
isn't
picked
it?
up a bunch of West Coast Avengers trades, and
Oh, cool. Is that the
people
Western
don't
one?
like West Coast. Yeah, I picked up. I can't remember. They're in the bookshelf.
How
somewhere.
the West was
some
won
of them
or
with
something? Yeah.
I don't remember which ones they were. It was some with Moon Knight, and then one trade before Moon Knight joined the team.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, just flipping through, first of all, I was just looking for Moon Knight. I was like, "Where's Moon Knight? Moon Knight's in here. I'm not buying it." And then I found the second one. I was like, "Okay, he's in it." And I was like, "I'm going to get the first one too. Fuck it."
Yeah.
But just looking through that stuff just gets my blood going. I love it.
It is,
and that's just an art style in general.
Yeah.
Before computer coloring and reproduction, there's just something about that. Even the it still holds up now when they do recolor them and stuff for like the epic collections and things like that.
Yeah.
There's just something about that art that, like, just the post.
Yeah. I love the epic
Bronze Age stuff.
Yeah, I love those.
Just so good.
Yeah. It is a good era. Look, I do love my 90s, of course, as well. Different,
Yeah.
some...
I think I'm just a little bit older than you, so whatever it is that you first started reading, that's probably what you love,
Yeah, I guess that's it. And it's similar, I guess, with music as well. Like, I'm stuck
absolutely true.
Yeah, like, the Captain Marvel film, I was just wanting more of that soundtrack, I was, and any reference, like, with Smashing Pumpkins, garbage posters and all that. Mm-hmm. I'm going, okay, this is cool. Where's more?
She's got a 9 Inch Nails shirt on.
Yeah, exactly. Just eating it up. But you're totally right. I can't
remember. Did they use that Blur song?
Not song number 2? No. They used Elastica.
Did they use that actually in the movie, or was that in just the ad?
No, they used it in the movie.
Okay, cool.
Connection, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really,
I love that song. I love Elastica.
Oh, look, me too, actually. I really love their voice. They're very good. So obviously the comics, different flavour, and as you say, first things that you kind of pick out. Interesting, Khonshu, because you mentioned as well that you kind of came in like late-ish to comics, you more of a anime manga background.
I only really started reading comics like 2 years ago.
But
really,
but Knol Connor is so learned in all the.
Yeah, I am shocked by that. You know so much about this stuff.
Yeah. It's
where do you find the time?
Yeah, it's amazing. But Connor, I guess it'd be interesting to see what your kind of ground zero would be for comics, because
giant robots, I think, at this point.
Yeah, of course.
Follow that mark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Actually, that's probably it, isn't it? Yeah. So, also, I mean, Knol, just speaking with comics, then I know that you do read. You mentioned as well, not only just the big two. You've got a diverse range of comics. What are some titles that you delve into from time to time? We know West Coast Avengers, which, as you say, I don't understand why people don't like West Coast Avengers. They are
it's fun,
bloody cool.
So much fun.
They are. Mm-hmm. They are. But you do know a lot of DC stuff. I know that you've read a few Superman
things. I don't read a
things.
lot of DC, actually.
No? Okay. Because that for all seasons was a ripper of a pick that you chose.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite books. And someone just had told me about the art on that. I mean, art is a big thing. Like, it's hard for me to read a story if I don't like the art. I just, that's the thing with comic books. It's like they really go hand in hand.
Yeah,
and if it has shitty art, or not even shitty art. I mean, it's made in a book. It's good art. But if it's art I don't connect to, I just can't.
Yeah.
I have a hard time reading it. That's part of why I think I've been a little trepidatious about some of the Valiant stuff, because it just looks so 2000s-y, all the stuff I've seen.
Oh, well, actually, I mean, the current stable of artists at Valiant, they've really lifted their game with some of the absolute awesome Renato Guerres, Thomas Giorello, really different styles that you wouldn't usually, actually you would never associate, I think, in a Marvel book. I'd say. Would that be
Yeah,
fair to
that
say,
opening
Connor?
up.
Sorry?
Yeah, definitely. But I totally get where you come from. Those early, like, Harbinger,
Yeah.
Bloodshot books, I think, were the two big ones. That's, like, total. That's still Dougie Braithwaite and his crew. So that's...
Right.
It ages.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I mean, I don't need all of my comics to look like it was drawn by John Byrne in 1982. But I really like a lot of modern styles, like the guy who was on Spider-Gwen for a long time, Robbie Rodriguez, has a very stylized look, but his stuff looks incredible. He just has it's a little bit more illustrated, designy.
Yep.
I think the colors in that book really help too. It's just amazing stuff.
Yeah, there are a lot of really good artists, banding around at the moment. It's really...
There's a lot.
Yeah, it's really good. But, having said that, I mean, just going back to what you said with art, look, there's even artists that I love, like Declan Shalvey. We all know, what he can do on Moon Knight. But to tell you, frankly, that Return of Wolverine...
You're not liking him on Wolverine?
No.
You're not alone.
Very rushed. It seems to me very rushed. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. He could be...
I think that's...
Yeah.
I don't think it's rushed. I think that's just kind of his style, and it just doesn't quite work for Wolverine. I still like it as I haven't read it, but I've seen a lot of panels, and I was like, I like the drawing. I love his art. I love his style.
Yeah.
I can see how it's not working for this book.
Yeah, it just isn't. It just wasn't. And I think hand in hand with that, I mean, Charles Soule, who's usually a very solid writer, wasn't too inspiring, the story for that. So kind of glad that was just like a 5-parter. But yeah, I mean, you get good art. Well, as you said, you get good artists that sometimes don't fit the mold of that book. Well, Connor, do you have...
Oh, you asked about some of the non-Big 2 ones I was reading.
Yes, of course. Yep.
I forgot about that. Well, it's kind of a lot. Let's see. Oh, I'm really enjoying Sex Criminals by Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Have you read that?
No, I haven't, but I'm big fans of Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky.
Yeah, it's too great. I mean, Chip Zdarsky is one of the best people doing stuff in comics right now. But he's the illustrator for Sex Criminals, and Fraction's the writer.
Okay. Oh.
And it's great. It's about a it's not for kids. It's about a couple it's about people in the world who learn that when they orgasm they can freeze time.
Oh, right.
And a couple meets up, and she's a librarian and he's a banker. And he hates his job at the bank, and her library is getting foreclosed on, which happens to be owned by the bank he works for.
Okay. Yeah.
So when they discover that they can have this superpower, they start having sex and robbing his bank to pay off the mortgage on the library.
Right.
And it just gets crazy. It's so funny.
No,
and so weird.
I'm going to be very geeky here and ask you a very geeky question. But so when they orgasm and they stop time, how long does time stop for? Just out of interest.
I think it's like 10 or 15 minutes. I can't remember. It's not a long time.
Okay, cool.
But it turns out the first several issues, it kind of goes back and forth between their point of views, and they think they're the only people in the world who can do this ever since puberty. And then when they find each other, it's, amazing. But then they realize there's other people, and there's like there's the sex police who've been doing this for a long time.
Oh,
and
wow.
they keep tabs on the other people who have this power. It's so funny. It's so amazing. And those two are such funny guys, Fraction and Zdarsky, that there's one point where they get stuck in the book and it just goes to the two of them having a phone conversation about what to do next in the book.
Right. Oh, okay.
And it gets really meta, and it breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And it just goes panel for panel of them talking on the phone, and Chip is sitting there drawing, and all of a sudden he's like, hold on a sec, I got an Archie check, because he did some work for Archie Comics.
Okay.
And then the next panel, he's wearing like a fur coat and a gold chain. He's like, what were you saying again? It's really funny.
Is it current? Like, is it still going, or is this part?
Yeah, it's still going. They might be taking a little break right now.
Oh, this is not one of those Image comics, is it, where they take a break for like 5 years?
Oh yeah,
for 5 years.
Absolutely. I don't know if about 5 years, but they put out a lot really quickly. I think there's I don't know, 5 trades out already.
Okay.
maybe more.
Hope you can. Khonshu.
I know. I think a lot of.
Sorry.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, Khonshu. Sorry, have you read Sex Criminals?
I've read the first few volumes. I'm a bit behind.
And,
There you go. So you know how funny it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice one. No.
Yeah, all the image people, I think, do that. I think it just must be something with their, probably not contract, but just sort of an unspoken or maybe spoken rule that after so long you could just take however long you want to go work for the big two for a while or something and make some money.
And then come back. Yeah. Yeah.
I know Saga's on a break for a while right now.
I know. Right? That's a bit of a shame. Are you caught up with that, or are you a big fan?
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Her artwork is phenomenal, and it fits the story so well. So good.
Yeah.
Then,
it's one of those things.
Hickman's taking a break, too, on Manhattan Project, or it's done.
Okay, and he's coming to Marvel.
Yeah, to write X-Men, right?
To have a, just dip his toe in the big two there, one of the big two, then he'll probably come back.
Brother's got to get paid.
That's it, yeah. Well, I mean, that's I just lost my train of thought there, but okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I read a lot of indie stuff. I started, when I was a kid reading Marvel comics because they're the only, the pharmacy up the street only carried Marvel for some reason.
Oh, excellent.
And so, yeah, I remember seeing, that's when I first saw Moon Knight, is he was in, he could have been in a Marvel team up with Spider-Man.
Oh, yep, could very well be.
Or
he did
something, but
was that? I think
I have a couple of those.
Yeah, I think was that the one with the Purple Man and Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Daredevil.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was a team up.
I know because I have the flop. I have the floppy of that one.
Cool.
He could have been in. Yeah, it would have been something from the 80s. I remember going, ooh, that guy's cool. And then I discovered there actually was a full-on comic book store just a few more blocks down the road.
Oh, I know.
And I was like, well, here we go. I'm going to buy every Silver Surfer comic. And,
Oh, you like Silver Surfer?
Oh, I love the Silver Surfer.
He is awesome.
And then by the time I got to high school, it would have been the late 80s, early 90s. And there was another comic book shop literally across the street from my high school. And they carried a lot more indie stuff, and I remember getting Ninja Turtles.
Ooh,
the Eastman and Laird when that first came out.
Yeah.
In the mid 80s. Probably would, by the time I got it, probably would have been the second or third pressing.
Right.
But before they really blew up. But I had all the black and whites floppies of Ninja Turtles, and that just set me down a road of reading a lot of indie comics and all the black and white stuff.
So what publisher was Ninja Turtles before? I know they're IDW now, aren't they? What were they?
Mirage Studios.
Oh, okay, right. Before they were big, they were.
Yeah, it was their own. It was self-published basically.
Ah, cool. Because that
would have been before the cartoons, obviously before everything. But when they would cut people's heads off, and they were fighting weird robots, and very violent, and I think there might even be a few swear words in here.
Really wanted to get into that kind of thing because, when I grew up, the cartoons was, taking a front seat to everything, and it's kind of that same kind of thing, I guess, with, Adam West's Batman, and you get, in pop culture, you get preconceptions as that's what the Ninja Turtles are, whereas really in the comics, obviously, they're a lot, they'd be a lot edgier and darker, and I've heard really good things about it. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the first 12 issues, there's not a single slice of pizza.
Is it April O'Neil? Is she there still? Or?
Yeah, she's in there. Okay. And it's all the classics that you know of. Casey and Baxter. And there's so many Jack Kirby references in the first 12 issues, too.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, they name there's a character named Kirby, and there's...
cool.
There's... a lot of Fantastic Four Easter eggs, or not Easter eggs, but just references.
Yeah, there'd be Daredevil references, right? Wouldn't there?
Well, yeah. I mean, the first 3 pages, it's just they do Daredevil's origin.
Oh, right, okay.
Or maybe it's
the turtles
second
are just
issue.
in the background.
Yeah, and it's the turtles who get hit with the same thing that made Matt Murdock blind, but turned them into Ninja Turtles.
It's amazing they got away with that. You know, I always kind of, a little bit of me thinks like, you know, would Marvel have
Well,
been...
it didn't say Matt Murdock, you know.
No.
It didn't say...
Oh, okay,
you
yeah.
know, it was just obvious. There's nothing that they could have gotten sued over, I think, because it's just such a reference that you can't say, that wasn't Matt Murdock. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, cool. So apart from some Image stuff, other publishers, and Mirage, was it Mirage that you said? Any other kind of indie labels that you... Because, you know, if anything as well, Noel, this is a great opportunity for other Loony listeners, I myself as well, to, you know, to find out, explore what is out there. And, yeah, I mean, it would be good to, you know...
I mean, there's a lot of stuff on... there's just a lot. I would have to get up from the mic to go look through the bookshelves, but...
Yeah.
Well, have you ever read anything by the Hernandez brothers, the guys who did Love and Rockets?
No, but I have a feeling Connor has. Have you, Connor? Love and Rockets?
I have read the first of each one, the... was it Palomar?
He's a machine. This
Damn
guy.
it, Connor.
Maggie the Mechanic. I've just started Strangers in Paradise 2, which is like another one of those Love and Rockets. You know, it's been going for 25 years, telling the same characters' lives. Once I do that, I'll do Love and Rockets.
Love and Rockets started in the early '80s, I think.
Wow.
It's been going, and they've done the Hernandez brothers have done other books. There's one one of the brothers did for Vertigo. What's that one called again? I loaned it out to somebody. I can't remember. It's really, really cool. It's all black and white comics. And they came out of the '80s LA punk rock scene, and they were really, you know, during the '70s really into, you know, Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko comics, and so that's kind of what they wanted to be. And then they realized that, you know, we're just some poor LA punks. We're going to do whatever we want, and so they're not biographical comics, but they're more dealing in sort of their reality and what's surrounding. Like the art style is very... Do you know who Raymond Pettibon is?
No. Connor?
Right.
No, this time you got me.
Okay. Ray Pettibon was he's still alive. He's an LA, or was LA based illustrator. He was the brother of one of the founding members of the punk band Black Flag.
Oh, really? Henry Rollins?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Not Henry. Yeah, well, Henry Rollins' band, but it was the guitar player that Pettibon was the brothers of.
Okay.
And he got known for doing a lot of the flyers for all the punk bands in LA in the early 80s.
Oh, right.
And so the Hernandez brothers were very much influenced by him. And he did really cool, kind of illustrated, comic booky kind of art, but it was all really messed up. Like, it would just be one, you know, just like one scene. Like, oh, you know, of course, you're a 90s kid. You know the cover of Goo from Sonic Youth?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's that illustration about, you know, they killed their parents and they took... That's Raymond Pettibon.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, nice. I've got the mental image in my head of the drawings.
Yeah, the people wearing sunglasses.
Yeah.
And they're smoking cigarettes in like the back of a car or something.
Ah, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So that was a big thing I got into after kind of dropping Marvel stuff in the 80s when I was a kid. Just that kind of stuff. It's all very...
So yeah, you've got a nice...
has a theme.
Yeah, you've got a nice diverse range there. It is hard to not at least read a couple of Marvel comics here and there, especially with their presence now, just like, you know, in the media and all that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I read a ton of Marvel comics now.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh.
But it's mostly a lot of it is I'm catching up on the things when I stopped reading.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
or
great.
things I didn't. Yeah, things I never had a chance to when I was a kid. Like I had no idea like the Kree Skrull War existed.
Yeah, that's a great...
Until a few years ago, and I found the trade, and I was like, "This is great."
I saw that on Amazon, right? I was thinking of picking that up as well because it's only a small trade.
You should.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a long, like omnibus, like that big, a Kree Skull War, but
oh no, it's like 4 issues or something.
Yeah,
it's really short and it's goofy. I mean. I remember when people were saying that they were Captain Marvel's going to be like the Kree Skrull War, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Right.
There's no way.
They have a romanticized version.
Stupid...
of what the Kree Skrull War. Yeah.
Well, Nihilus is in it, and you know the Supreme Intelligence is in it, but it's the actual Supreme Intelligence, and it's got, Captain Marvel and what's his name?
John Rogg? Is it
No, Jan Rogg's not it.
Oh.
What's the guy who traded places with Marvel?
Oh, Rick Jones?
No? Rick Jones,
Yeah.
Rick Jones is like the biggest part of the whole. It's really dope.
Oh, he's got a seminal part in it, hasn't he? Like
he saves the day.
Yeah.
He brings back like the 40s hero. It's so goofy. But it's got half of it is drawn by Neil Adams, and when he takes over, oh man, is it amazing artwork.
Who does the first half? Or the first bit?
I can't remember. I think it's Buscema.
Okay.
It's Sal Buscema, I think.
Oh, it's Sal Buscema. Let me guess, there's probably one or two panels of someone flying backwards, from a punch. Like Sal Buscema's art, he always does that. It's
Yep, I just opened up a page and there's somebody getting punched flying back.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Always the same. Because I always thought the Kree-Skull Wall was going to be like Operation Galactic Storm. I've got that on order as an epic. Let me tell you, I just love the epic collections in Marvel, because what you're saying about catching up on stories that you missed when you were younger or whatever. I'd love like Operation Galactic Storm. I've got the issues to it, but obviously I haven't read it in like years and years. But the older runs, like we're talking about the 60s and early 70s. I went through the Ant-Man Tales to Astonish. These are comics.
Those are really fun.
Yeah, very different to what.
That's part of my part of my love for Ant-Man is just that he started out as it was just like a sci-fi freak story.
Yeah.
Really? It was not a superhero story. It was just like a Tales to Astonish. Sure. And it's part of the genius of Stan Lee. It's just, we can take this character and wrap him into our superheroes.
Yeah, and what he'd do actually as well, what I found with later issues of Tales to Astonish was there was a backstory to each of the issues, and it was Wasp. And she would be telling stories, and it was just an excuse to tell a sci-fi story. So she'd be telling stories to either a little kid or, I don't know, some kids on the street, and she would come up with these weird sci-fi fantasies. And it had nothing to do with Ant-Man or Wasp at all, but like I can see how Stan Lee said, "Yeah, let's do it somehow." Like, so that's
great.
Yeah. Look, before I just want to spend a little time, Knol, kind of before we wrap up as well. The final big thing that Connor and I were quite interested to ask you about, bringing it back to Deleter as well. I saw on Instagram Mr. Tate. He had posted up, what do you call them these days? Stories or something? What do the kids call them these days? You posted up some videos. Connor? Yeah, Connor.
Pictures?
You posted some moving pictures. You posted up some moving pictures of an upcoming project that you're doing, and this is going to be quite exciting. It is an EP. I take it 6 tracks. I take it, Knol.
You guessed
each based on one of the issues by that awesome Warren Ellis run of Moon Knight. So could you tell us a bit about this? How it came about?
Well, we just started writing new songs like we do, and I was reading over. Actually, I probably was listening to Into the Night when you guys were going through the Ellis and Shalvey and Belair run, and I don't remember exactly why, but I just I started picking it up and reading it again. I read it every couple of months because
it's great.
It takes 5 minutes.
Yeah, it does.
To actually read it, it takes 5 minutes. To go through it, it takes a lot longer. And I just loved the kind of pulp comic aspect of that run. That nothing. There's continuity and there's some of those things, but really it's just like here's 6 great kind of action adventure detective-y stories. It's why I think people say how Moon Knight is a certain DC character ripoff. And obviously not, but he was obviously, the creators even said he was inspired by that character.
Yes.
But he's such a better version of that character.
Ooh.
And in a sort of a more logical version of that character.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were to put on a costume and go fight criminals at night, you're a fucking lunatic.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
And you would be, and it would make a lot more sense if you had a really terrible history of being a mercenary and a military guy. That's I think I even said on the group recently, one of my favorite bits of facts about Moon Knight is that he had a disorderly conduct discharge from the military.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you picked that up from the Finch run. I saw that. Yeah,
exactly. For giving shit to a superior officer, and it's just like that. It makes more sense, even if you take sort of Khonshu out of the picture. Mm-hmm. It's just a more logical version of what that kind of vigilante would be. Mm-hmm. And that's something I love about Moon Knight. And so Warren Ellis's run is just much more of that pulp sort of 30s 40s style of comic, and there's not a lot to it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't go as deep as, say, the next run with Lemire, which is also one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But it's almost like each issue is almost like a song. And I know Warren Ellis says sometimes he writes lyrically. He writes to music.
Okay.
And then I just kind of put that all together, and I was like, I'm the same way I sort of loosely based the last record on kind of Watchmen and sort of Fantastic Four kind of things. I was like, I'm going to see what I can do with this specific, kind of put myself in a box and write based on these 6 specific issues of a comic that I really like.
They're very, 6 of them are all very different. I mean, like, they do have that thread of being very, as he's saying, pulpy. And I think Mr. Knight lends himself to that kind of... Because, I mean, Warren Ellis uses, obviously, the costume. We saw, obviously, Declan Shalvey's fantastic design of the new hooded Moon Knight costume. But Mr. Knight just going around doing his detective work is it kind of gives that kind of tone to a lot of the books.
Which is like... realistically, that's sort of out of continuity for Mark Spector. He added a new element, which I liked, and now it's part of it. Which I really like when someone can add something and be like, "This isn't Moon Knight." Well, it is now.
Oh, it is,
and it's cool because I mean, before that, if you think about it, he did a bit of kind of. Matches Malone style kind of half-assed detective work, but it was never really like this is Detective Knight, Mr. Knight or whatever. It's like, oh, that's a new thing. That's cool.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But it is full on pulpy. It's not it's not ripping off Batman. It's ripping off, the Phantom or something like that. Or
the Spirit or something. Oh, I don't know.
Or like I've said before. I mean, it looks like Mr. A. The design, the Steve Ditko crazy comic, Mr. A.
No, I don't actually, Mr. A. No.
Oh, look it up. It looks just like Mr. Knight.
Oh, okay, really?
All white suit. The only difference is you can kind of see Mr. A's face, even though he's wearing a mask.
Oh, okay.
It's like a more real, and he's in a fedora, but it's all white.
The fedora, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to talk to Warren Ellis sometime. Just ask him, like, was Mr. A obviously an influence on this version? I mean, it's even called Mr. Knight.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting to hear if that was. Whether or not
Mr. A is a terrible comic, by the way, but you should try reading it sometime. It's all objectivist. The character is an objectivist superhero.
Oh, okay. Well,
so everything's black and white, and it's awful.
I was about to say whether or not Warren Ellis will admit to it or not is another question.
It's obvious.
Yeah,
it's so obvious.
Yeah, but then so through the 6 tracks, then can you give us a bit of a flavour of how you approached each of them, because they're very different. I don't have the names of the 6 issues off the top of my head. But let's
see, the first one is Slasher.
Yes, yeah.
I actually just sat down I had sort of we record every rehearsal, as we're writing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, I have a studio in my house and we practice in my house and I can just do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I have pretty decent recordings of all 6 of the songs.
Yeah, right.
And it was only one. We needed one. Well, I'll get to that in a second. But we had demos of the songs, and then I would just put it on repeat on headphones and read over, like Slasher, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of soak it in with a notebook next to me and jot down lines or actions
Mm-hmm.
from that issue that I thought were important or could fit inside of a song.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of mold it in and maybe reshape it. But I've actually taken, don't tell Marvel Comics, but I've stolen quite a few direct lines
Okay.
from the issues. Maybe they'll be changed as we're still kind of working on it right now.
Yeah.
It's like 75% done.
Oh, cool.
Pretty much just some of the vocals left to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just kind of use it as a think, what does this comic make me think of, or what does this issue make me think of, besides just what's happening
Yeah.
in the issue itself. You know, Slasher is just about an ex-SHIELD agent who's stealing body parts from bodybuilders or something.
Yeah. To fit,
so
fit
weird.
people. It is very strange.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's just but it, you know, it has a vibe to it and a motif, and it's really scary, kind of.
Yeah. To kind of, I guess,
and a little.
yeah. Sorry,
Go ahead.
just to emulate, I guess, as you mean, scary, because in that issue for Loony Listeners, Mr. Knight goes down into the sewers, like a deep, dark, danky area. That's where the Slasher is. So, a very kind of horror vibe to it because of
It has sort of that horror, like a Seven sort of aspect where it's like detective-y horror stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think the last one, which wasn't the last issue, Spectre, but the last song I think we wrote was music for was the issue Sleep.
Ah, yes. Nice one.
And
Issue
the
4,
guys
I
got
think.
here.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's issue 4. And the guys got here, and I opened up that issue, and I was like, we got one more song to write. And by the way, I'm basing it all on this Moon Knight comic book. Mm-hmm. And they like rolled their eyes at me.
I was about to say, are they comic book readers? No.
No.
No, okay.
I mean, they're not clueless.
Mm-hmm.
Our drummer, you know, watches all the media. He's seen all the Marvel movies
yeah.
and TV shows and stuff. Yeah. He just doesn't get into the books. And all of those, they know sort of.
Yeah.
You know, they're not completely ignorant to comic books. They're just not a freak about it like I am. But I opened up Sleep and just showed them the sleep dream sequence.
Yes.
And I was like,
crazy.
I want to write a song that sounds, whatever this sounds like to you guys,
Yeah.
let's kind of jam out and write something kind of based just on this artwork. And we came up with the strangest and weirdly like lightest song
Oh, okay.
of all of them.
Yeah.
It's very kind of major key mostly, because we usually write in minor keys. And it's cool. It's a little bit more kind of psychedelic and weird.
Yeah.
And we use some weird drum machine things. And then I was just like, great. And then I just sat down and pulled literally just some of the lines of the victim of that issue.
Yeah.
Of what he's talking about, how he doesn't know if he's alive or dead or
Yeah.
dreaming or awake or whatever. And it's just really sad.
It is
It's
sad.
a really sad
Yeah.
thing. And so I was just like, you know, and that's the mood it evokes is sadness. So,
Yeah, that's really good that the other members of Delita were quite receptive to it, and I guess it's testament to the artwork as well. Because look, if they are savvy about characters, I think it's safe to say that they probably know not much about Moon Knight, right? So
no,
they
know that I love Moon Knight.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, apart from the fact that unless you were kind of letting them know what the story is about and stuff, as you're saying that they were flicking through it, they don't only have the artwork to really go by to inform their or how they were to approach that issue, right?
Yeah, and if you look at the artwork, it's beautiful.
It is absolutely.
It's weird.
Yeah, Geordie Belair just kills it as well.
Oh, those colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in that book, it's like out of nowhere. It's like it's like reading an entire black and white book, and all of a sudden having like one crazy colored picture in there.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it feels like. You know, it's just like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really...
They're watching a movie in black and white, and all of a sudden a whole, you know, like...
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking, like Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
and then it just goes to full color, and then goes back to black and white.
Yeah.
Back to black and white. It's very jarring and
Really
beautiful.
Really good. Sniper issue 2. How did that kind of form?
That issue is so cool.
It is very cool. It's very it's one of those ones that you don't think about, but it's actually
It's like the most cinematic of them, I think.
yeah.
It's so cinematic. It plays like there's a couple in that volume that play like almost like a TV show or something, but that one's just... I actually turned somebody on to Moon Knight through that issue. We were hanging out
lovely.
or something, and I was like, just read this one. You don't even have it. There's hardly a word in the entire thing. Just look at it.
Yeah.
And they were like, holy crap, this guy is cool. Who is this? I was like, Moon Knight. And then I was like, get the Lemire run, and then work your way backwards and go up to the present. And he's pretty much done that.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, that one is just... That's a lot about... I think I connected to the sniper himself with writing some of the lyrics for that.
Okay, yeah.
Because, you know, he's used by the company. What do they say? He's like an unexploded bomb. Mm-hmm. There's a couple really good lines Warren Ellis has in there just about the psychology of the sniper.
Yeah.
And like why they used him. It was just like he's like I think there's a line about he's like a gun with the serial numbers filed off.
Right, yes.
You know, an untraceable killer.
Mm-hmm.
And how that poor son of a bitch was just used by that company and basically like an unexploded bomb dropped into a city.
So was it kind of like really...
that came back to get them.
Yeah.
It's about revenge. It's a revenge story.
Mm-hmm. So with that tonally...
Which is also very, very pulpy.
Yeah, okay. So kind of not light, kind of very tense music, we'd say.
Yeah, that's probably the most sort of punk rock one on the record.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because except for the Sleep, most of the songs I just felt like what of the 5 up until that point felt mixed with sort of the vibe I got from the story.
Yeah.
And that's obviously the most sort of short and quickly violent and over stories.
Yeah.
You know, Moon Knight just takes him down really quickly.
Yes,
and
he
the
does.
guy's like, why can't I hit you? He's like, I'm not real.
Yeah, that is one of my favourite lines as well. Yeah.
And then he just takes him out and the story's over.
Yeah. It's pretty...
So it's very punk rock issue.
And then how about the big one, issue 5 then? Scarlet. I think
Scarlet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unashamedly one of my favourite of it.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's actually the one that I haven't finished the lyrics to yet. Because there's no words in that. You know, he threatens a couple people, and then it's just kicking ass until the very end.
But
that's the one I've been having the most difficult.
Yeah, there's not much to go on, is there? But it's that little girl. She says that thing about his mask.
Scarlet's.
Yeah, Scarlet's.
Yeah, that's some of the lines I've taken.
That's a really good.
I just don't know exactly where to take it. It is the coolest. It's the most intimidating issue because it is my favorite. So it's the hardest, right? I've got a bunch of stuff like notes written down about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much I want to dive into just I think it's the most sort of Moon Knight issue that tells you about him. You know, the issue itself.
Oh yeah.
It almost tells you the most about who the character is without having to say anything. And he did a really good job at the end wrapping it up, saying like, "Oh, that is your face," and he's like, smart kid."
Yeah. And we got a couple more there. What's the other one? The Ghosts, which was a bit of a fun one as well.
Yeah, that one's called Box.
Sorry. Yeah, Box.
Because it's the ghosts, the punk rock ghosts kept in a music box.
A very green tinged issue, I remember, just from memory.
Because they're like they look like Ghostbuster ghosts or something.
Yeah, Slimers.
Filled with ectoplasm.
So how do you tackle that? There was a reference to music there. Johnny B. Good as well.
There actually is.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah.
as well as a reference to a volume 1 of Moon Knight, which is the music box, Savage Studs.
Yep. Yeah, I actually have a line about something about it. The interpretation I kind of took is just the Moon Knight's confusion. Mm-hmm. You know, about he was like, "What the hell?" So there's a lot of lines that I have in the song about. Each verse starts with like a kind of a statement about ghosts, like there are ghosts. Another one is I hate ghosts, and it's just what the hell is he gonna do? And I think the last verse is something about you know, like spirits trapped in a shitty music box, but they're now at the bottom of the river.
Okay, yeah.
So it's just kind of like telling the story of the song or of the
issue.
Of the issue.
Yeah. Nice.
It's really fun. It's one of my favorites of that one we've done, musically as well.
Cool. Is there okay? Is there a is there a particular theme like that you can like a motif that that encapsulates
for that song or the whole?
Yeah. Well, yeah. For that song, just for that one, I guess. Or were any of the other songs did you have?
It's about just ghosts, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
About you know, the sort of ghost as metaphor for memory and experience.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a obvious one. You know, when people say you're ghosts of your past, they're not literally talking about ghosts because ghosts aren't real.
Yes.
But
talking about
but they are in our memories.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's why they're so haunting, because, you know, you always remember things either through rose-colored glasses or through, like, really shitty broken glasses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, memory is either great or terrible, and things are rarely great or terrible. It's usually in between.
Yeah, there's always a kind of happy or sad medium.
It's not a happy
no,
medium.
I was gonna say.
A medium.
A medium.
A mundaneness.
A mundane. And I think the last one is Spectre, right? So that's, I'd imagine, that's kind of a big revenge story as well.
Yeah, it's almost a reverse detective story. It's a lot like issue 1 of that run, but from the Black Spectre's point of view, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You see,
I mean, that's sort of, it's about reversal. The lyrics I'm doing it is about like kind of role reversal.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
That's the theme I sort of got from it.
Yeah, it's very much. It's from the perspective of basically the bad guy. Yeah. You see a lot of his stuff and his relationships. All the kind of the behind the scenes, peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, he kind of has. He's got kind of his own. I mean, they really do sort of a mirror version of, or a somewhat mirrored version of Mark Spector. You know, he's got his sort of his Marlene and his team, and he breaks down from all of them. Yes. You know, and pushes them all away, which sounds a lot like Moon Knight.
But then, yeah.
And then Moon Knight just whoops his ass.
Again, yeah, I was about to say, it's like issue 2, isn't it? It's just effortless from him. He just waltzes in. A bit of
so great.
A bit of self-destruction there from Black Spectre, though.
Yeah.
Those bombs didn't go off, or the bomb went off actually at the wrong time, which is really unfortunate. But that's a nice take to it with music. The role reversal.
Yeah, and it's got some cool like dialogue from Moon Knight at the end. That's kind of where most of the lyrics I've gotten. Yeah. Which is when Moon Knight just being like, "You idiot!"
Oh yeah. Like, about I don't want to be loved. That sort of stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's just, you know, why would you want to be like me?
Yeah.
I don't want to be loved. I don't. No, and nobody wants that. Everybody wants to be loved.
Yeah. Yeah, great stuff.
Except for Mark Spector.
Yeah, he does.
Writes itself.
Exactly. So you're saying it's 75% done, Knol? Any potential dates that you're aiming to have it due, done, or released, or?
Probably early summer.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. What is it now? End of March, April. I guess it's spring now.
Yes.
Here.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It's autumn.
Is it spring there? What is it?
Autumn or fall. We say autumn. Is it? Do you say fall
I prefer
over there?
autumn.
Yeah,
I say autumn.
I say autumn.
Most people say fall.
Okay. Yeah. So not that long to go. That'd be pretty good. But you'll have to let us know, obviously. We'll keep a close eye, keep in contact as well when it does come out. We're definitely going to...
Yeah, we can do the Isla Ra then as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we're definitely going to have you for Isla Ra and your comics. And we kind of deliberately tried not to step on the core questions that we usually ask about how you kind of got into comics and a bit more on Moon Knight and stuff. But... it's been really enlightening here, Knol, to learn and to have a bit of an insight on Delita, and yourself as well, and what you like to read and watch. It's been absolutely brilliant having you on.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Connor.
Thanks for being here. Even myself, a part of this journey was just sitting back, enjoying listening to you guys talking. You're such a creative person. It's crazy to listen to.
It is. I've just got to remind myself now each time that when I do listen to Delita, I had a chat with that guy, and this the guy that's singing those songs. Brilliant stuff.
And thanks again for making this podcast sound 1,000% more professional every time someone listens to our opening.
The second I saw Ray, I was like, well, I do music and I like Moon Knight. You can just have anything you want.
Yeah. Absolutely. No,
every podcast needs more personalized music instead of the copyright-free stuff that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know how we, Connor and I, we do really push this, get people involved, and it is a community. So it just it was just a no-brainer to have the likes of Delita, yourself, Knol, who were big Moon Knight fan, just to provide the music for just absolute honour. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Second choice to Max Bemis, so that's good.
Though
I have a feeling whatever he would write for Moon Knight would be a little goofy.
Pretty much like his run, I guess. So
exactly,
yeah,
cool, but a little goofy.
Well, no. You are the music man himself. You are the music box of the ITK world. Where can people find out about Delita and any other music you want to plug?
Deleter.bandcamp.com, I think it is.
I think that's where I bought your music.
Yeah, it's We Are Deleter at all the social media. The Instagrams, the Twitters, all that stuff. And I'm at Knol Tate at most of the social media as well. I think my Instagram's private, so don't even try. And that's about it.
Fantastic. Well, you've got all your listeners of a bunch of new music to check out. Or maybe, hopefully, the same music to check out again, because we're all such Delita listeners here. And keep an eye out for this new Moon Knight album EP dropping. I'm sure you'll post up in the group and on your social medias.
Yeah, maybe I'll start a poll on the Facebook page and say, because we need a title, and I don't think I want to call it From the Dead, because that might be asking to get sued. All the songs are actually... The titles of the songs are the titles of each issue, so that we have to probably change the name of it.
All right. Well, since Ray is gone because Australian internet is just chronic, just no good, it's not From the Dead, it's just dead. If you want to find some more, ITK, we're www.internetpodcast.wordpress.com, facebook.com/ITK Moon Knight. Twitter's at ITK Moon Knight. It's where we post our updates, newsletters, episodes, get in contact with there, all the good stuff. Email is itkmoonnight@gmail.com. Our fantastic group. We can talk to people like Ray, myself, and Knol, and all the other Loonies. That is facebook.com /groups/ITK Moon Knight. ITK Moon Knight, Instagram, Tumblr, podcast catches. If you love us, we wouldn't mind an iTunes rating. If you wouldn't mind going out of your way. That's how we get other loonies to not ignore us. So, from Ray and myself, thank you once again, Knol. Thank you once again,
Thank you.
listeners. This has been episode 92. Big spotlight. Fantastic musician. Thanks for listening. And may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night.
Bye-bye.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.
Looks like his stupid cat unplugged his internet.